Questions now open. Councillor Head.
Thank you, Your Worship. In favor.
Thank you. Motion carries. Thank you. 12.2, pumper truck engine tender. No, maybe I'll ask, because the chief put something on our desk, maybe I'll get the chief to comment first, and then we'll move forward with the tender. Or does he want the fleet manager to tackle that? You did a good job. It's your truck. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, the last minute notice that went to the agenda identifies the replacement engine that is no longer, it's what they call a legacy engine, it is no longer available. There are, talking to the manufacturers, there are a slight chance we still could, and therefore the recommendations would still stand for the report. I just thought it was, prudent to let administration and council know that that is something that the engine manufacturer has determined to be an obsolete engine. I will point out that the tender document is quite clear that at the time of ordering the L9, the legacy engine, or equivalent engine will be available. So that's a summarization of the tender document. So I think we should be in good hands.
Thank you. Can you also tell us the new delivery date?
Yes, it's in the report, but I think it's important to note that we had one bid out of many truck manufacturers, and I would assume that it is because of the delivery date. Just supply and demand issues, we're looking at 36 months. So, essentially if council was to accept the proposal here and award the tender, we're looking at a truck in 2027.
Wow. Okay, thank you, sir. Yeah, I knew it was in the report, but I asked the question for the knowledge of the public. That's why I asked those two questions. Okay.
Tony Head in the queue here.
Okay, I have Councillor Cody, and then I'll come to you, Councillor Head. Councillor Cody.
He can proceed. I was just going to move the motion.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, Councillor Head.
Well, and that's kind of where I land as well. I was going to move this motion and or seconder if Councillor Cody was going to go ahead and move it. And yeah, the comment about the 36 months is quite surprising. So,
Yeah, it's a shocker. Okay, so it'll be moved by Councillor Cody, seconded by Councillor Head.
Yes, Your Worship, I move that tender number 24 of 2023 for the purchase of a fire engine be awarded to Westvac Industrial Limited at a total cost of $1,361,788.05, which includes all applicable taxes to be funded from the Fire Equipment Reserve. Number two, that a contingency fund of $3,059 for modifications, fire equipment, and minor changes to the fire pumper during the pre-build meeting be approved if required, and that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to execute any applicable documents on behalf of the city if required.
Thank you. And Councillor Head, you're still going to second it?
yes, I'm going to second that.
Thank you. And I see no one in the queue, so I will move the question. Questions now open. Councillor Head.
In favor.
Thank you. Motion carries. Thank you. 11.3, shopping cart fee. Oh. Councillor Zepp.
Thank you. I move that bylaw 12 of 2023 be amended to a $30 pickup fee.
Okay. Seconder? For discussion.
Yeah, for discussion, and I do have discussion, so I'll second the motion. I'm thinking $30 is a little steep. I was going to go 10. But considering the list that we have, and I know that there's a few businesses out there, small ones, that go and pick up their own and from our landfill. So I'm thinking maybe 15. I'm not too sure. If a friendly amendment.
We're like having an auction here.
Don't hold up your hands yet, because the
No,
auction's
because
on.
it's not, and just so you know, there's a queue lit up, so there's lots of comments.
Sure. And maybe I'll wait for some of the comments as well. Thank you.
Okay, is that your position too?
Yeah, second.
She got seconded. So you'll shut your light off for further comment here? Yeah. Okay. Councilor Cody?
Yeah, I will not be supporting the $30. I think that is a bit steep. I think maybe the $10, which was first initiated by administration, I think is half reasonable. Maybe could be a little more, but I think it's reasonable. Now, if you were to ask me about, are we going to charge Walmart and the Co-op and Superstore, those charges wouldn't make a tinker's damn to me because they've all got the money. But when I look at Little Harold's, that's a little steep, and they get them stolen just as often as anybody does. So I think we shouldn't be beating on the little person any more than what we can or should. So I'm not going to support the $30. If we could cut that back to even say 15, wouldn't be too bad. But I think the 10 that administration has thought was reasonable, I think is reasonable.
Administration said 7, Councilor Cody.
7, but I think there was a part of a recommendation in there saying 10.
Oh, it was an option. Sorry,
Yes.
there's an option for 10. Sorry. Councilor Kilmer?
Thank you very much. Two things. I, too, agree with the option that was put forward in the report going to $10, because I do believe letting the entrepreneurs that want to collect it at 7, 8, 9 to create their own business is great, but I do want to make sure that the city is still picking it up and not gouging, that's a wrong word, but the smaller business people, for sure, it impacts. The second thing, I do have a question for the director.
Go ahead.
In the report, it was not clear the process that we had agreed upon prior. It did talk about the original process. I just wanted to verify the process that's currently happening that we had approved.
Thank you, Councillor Kilmer, for the question. So the process generally is as follows. So carts are picked up by city crews. They'll be taken out to the landfill. There's a designated spot to place those carts. Retailers will be required to come pick up those carts by a set day each month. If our carts are not picked up, then they will just be added to our metals recycling pile.
Okay, thank you. The first step in that process, if I remember properly, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that it's at the discretion of the director,
That's
right,
correct.
or designate?
That's right.
Have we, or you, said to all employees that have a vehicle that it is,
That's
if you
correct,
see
yes.
a cart, you pick it up?
Yes,
They're not
we
waiting
have-
for a call?
That's right. We have instructed staff that anytime they see a cart that's not on a business's property, to pick that cart up and take it out to the landfill.
Yeah, thank you very much for the clarification.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Councilor Edwards?
Thank you, Mayor Dion, and that goes along my point here, was part of it talks about abandoned shopping carts. And in my opinion, as soon as it's off property, we should be taking those carts back. And I don't care if it's full, if it's off the property where it shouldn't be, it should be taken away. And it's not being taken away. We had a setup on the riverbank for how many days? With 3 shopping carts, absolutely plump full of garbage. And there they sat. We should be removing those shopping carts immediately from them, whether they're full or not. Are we doing that right now, or do they have to be empty? Or not with someone?
Yeah, I would say for pickups, if they're just abandoned, and then yes, they'll get picked up whether they have stuff in them or not.
So if there's someone on a riverbank with a Safeway shopping cart that's not considered abandoned.
I don't think we would be instructing staff to go and pick up that cart, no.
Yes,
But it's abandoned,
yes. But
and
it
it's
would be a
stolen
conflict.
property. And here we sit allowing it, and I just don't understand. It's stolen property. So I know that's a police issue. Maybe at the same time, we should be phoning police. Hey, listen, this is an abandoned cart, stolen property, we need your assistance. I know the police are busy, but the public want these removed from our said riverbank, for example. Just some comments, because it does say abandoned, and I'm not sure that's the right wording in there.
Okay. Counselor Zapp,
I'm going to amend my motion to $15. And I've been listening to what other individuals have had to say. So the thought coming from the report here is that there is another business who is doing this work for $7 per cart. And the report indicates that we don't want to be charging less than $7 because we don't want businesses relying on our staff to have to do this. It is extra work. Our staff are out in their vehicles doing their own work tasks that we need done. And we in this room often, especially in the summertime, we hear from residents saying, why isn't the grass getting cut or this task being done? And it's a lot of work and it takes a lot of hands. And so the ideal situation is if we're not relying on city staff to be doing these pickups. And so if we charge more, perhaps a little bit more than $10, perhaps $15, then is that not an incentive for businesses to then either hire the company who's willing to do it for $7 a cart, or to use their own resources to be maintaining their carts? So when reading the report, that's why I thought that we would want to consider more than $7 per cart. That's the rationale. I'm very open to other rationales, but that's why I was thinking a little bit more. And in terms of shopping carts that are being used by people who are often homeless in our city, it's sad. That's tragic. I don't think anyone wants to have their son or daughter be that person who has their sole possessions in a shopping cart walking around our city. It's tragic, and we talk in this room all the time about the tragedy of homelessness, addictions are reasons that people are utilizing carts in this way. And I don't get a lot of phone calls from residents saying, I don't want that person pushing a shopping cart around the city. I hear more that I don't want people doing crimes, taking action against me that is harmful and harming other people in our city. And just simply having the shopping cart, I think, is more of a tragedy than the other work that we sadly do have to have our police service doing.
okay, any more comments? I won't be, okay, I'll come right to you, Tony. I won't be supporting the $15. I think that's still too high. Go ahead, Councillor Head.
Thank you. Just a couple comments. Yeah, this policy coming forward was a way to address some of the abandoned carts that we've seen throughout our neighborhoods. And I know I've gotten calls from residents asking, to pick this up, or there's a couple carts here. So, the idea is that we were hoping that it's going to have less in our neighborhoods. But yeah, to Councillor Lennox Zepp's point, it is tragic. And yeah, we do see that quite often in our city. And, this policy doesn't address any of those issues. Simply putting a fee on it, I agree. We're not trying to harm or hurt the business owners. So it's even charging at a $7 rate is fine, I think. Because they can't control them leaving the property. It seems like. But yeah, it is definitely a tough issue, and I support the $7. I don't think putting a high value on that is going to change any of the dynamics in our city. But wanting to see more addressing how do we, I guess, curb some of that as well. So I won't be supporting the current amended motion.
Thank you very much. Councillor Solomon.
Mayor Dion, I also will not stand for the $15 or won't support the $15 amended. I think $7 is more than fair. I believe the businesses were consulted. They agreed to that. And I think that raising it higher
not only punishes the business owners, but it also doesn't allow that opportunity for a private business maybe to be competitive with the city. So, thank you.
Okay. Back to you, Councillor Zepp.
I amend my motion to $10 per cart. After hearing from other members of council, I hear what you're saying. I do have a question for, I think, the acting director of planning. I can't remember from the report, when we did the consultation with businesses, was that the first round? The first round of this, administration was recommending $10 per cart, and then council we voted to have this go back and be reviewed for what fee should be installed. I don't know if the acting director knows if when we consulted, was that the first round with the $10 proposal?
No, I think that was Public Works.
Oh,
that was Public
Works.
Works.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
sorry, if I could
Public
ask the
Works.
director.
No, right question, wrong direction. Public Works. Go ahead, Director.
Thank you, Councillor Lennox Zepp, for the question. I believe when we were consulting with the businesses originally, we had consulted also in discussing like in general the potential for a fee. However, as our original recommendation didn't actually come with an attached fee, they probably weren't consulted on the specific fee that we recommended for you today.
Thank you.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, I see no one in the queue, so I'm going to prompt the question.
If I could see the motion, Your Worship.
The motion is still that the shopping carts pickup is still amended to $10. She brought it down from 15 to 10, and that's the motion.
Thank you.
Okay, questions now open. Oh, sorry, Councillor Head. I'm watching the screen.
Opposed, Your Worship, yes.
Saying, okay, who's missing here? Okay,
Opposed, yeah.
the motion carries 5-3. Okay, 12, City Clerk.
Mayor, we have bylaw number 12 of 2023 to amend the waste collection and disposal bylaw to add a fee for the pickup of shopping carts from the landfill from business owners. This bylaw is now for amendment and 3 readings. So I have to make a motion for an amendment. I have to create one.
We have to create a,
I have to create a motion. Ready for the amendment?
okay,
Or just gonna copy this?
yeah. You cut my screen off.
Let's go there. Oops, sorry.
I'm back in. I got it out. I got my screen back.
So this is the amendment. You don't need number 2. Okay, need a mover.
Okay,
Mover.
Councillor Zepp.
The bylaw number 12 of 2023 be amended as follows, that the shopping carts pickup fee in section 1 be amended from $7 per cart to $10 per cart.
Thank you. Seconder, Councillor Miller.
I'll second Mayor Dion. Thank you.
Thank you. And for further discussion, I won't be granting leave. And the reason I won't be granting leave is I want an opportunity to the store owners that own these shopping carts to have the right to come back to council and say, whoa. And that's, so you know, I won't be giving leave, just so you know, because I want to give the owners of the shopping cart an opportunity to speak. It's up. Okay, we're now open. Counselor Head?
Opposed.
Thank you. Carries 5-3. As amended. Counselor Zepp?
That bylaw number 12 of 2023 be introduced and read a first time.
As amended, sorry.
Oh, as amended.
I'll second Mayor Dion, thank you.
Thank you. So I'll prompt the question. Question is now open. Counselor Head?
Opposed, Your Worship.
Thank you. Motion carries 5-3. Second reading. Counselor Zepp,
That bylaw number 12 of 2023 as amended be read a second time.
seconder.
I'll second Mayor Dion, thank you.
Thank you. I'll prompt the question. The question's now open. Counselor Head?
Opposed.
Thank you. Motion carries. Counselor Zepp? Yeah.
Just a procedural question. Do we need to proceed to asking for leave, or can we withdraw that? No?
No, we have to
Proceed.
ask.
That leave be granted to read bylaw number 12 of 2023 as amended a third time.
Thank you.
I'll second Mayor Dion.
Thank you. I'll prompt the question. Question's now open. Counselor Head?
Opposed.
Thank you. Leave is not granted. Okay. We're moving on to 12.4. Is this where we wanted the date changed? Okay, so she knows. Counselor Zepp?
That a Little Red River Park transit route be approved on a trial basis from July 3rd, 2023 to September 2nd, 2023 on a half-hourly frequency for the following: Monday to Friday, 11:45 to 7:45, and Saturdays, 9:45 to 5:15.
Your Worship, if I could.
Yep, I'll put you in the queue. Doesn't have to be. Okay. Seconder. Oh, are you Counselor Head seconding?
I could, and I also like a comment. So yes, I would like to second this motion, and just a quick comment.
Okay, go ahead with your comment.
No, really happy to see this motion come forward. I know Councillor Grodnick, if he was present today, likely would, speak highly on it or speak, for this motion, because I know he has talked about it, a lot in the last couple of years. And so happy to see this come to fruition. Happy to see some of the, the build happening in the park, and I imagine the community be quite pleased as well to have some access to it, those who have struggled to get there. So I'm very much in favor of this motion.
Thank you. I won't be supporting the motion, and strictly the reason is I brought the motion forward and I had requested a fee for $5. I do not want to subsidize the bus service to the Little Red. If I'm going to subsidize a bus service, it'll be to Noydale and Hazeldale, not to the Little Red. And that's why when I brought this idea forward, I knew we had to get a way for the residents to get out there, and I came up with an idea of user pay. $5 is a very cheap fee to go from the transfer station downtown all the way to the Little Red. And so I won't be supporting it strictly because I do not believe we should be subsidizing this service. Councillor Edwards.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, I don't disagree that you know, a $5 charge would be unreasonable. I think for a trial run, though, I think we should see if it's going to be used. And I know people might get used to it at that price, but you know what, we need to see if it's gonna be used, even if we're going to implement it. But I certainly wouldn't support a subsidy out to Little Red. I think at the time, we would need to adjust it to a $5, which is probably still a subsidy, but it would be less of the subsidy. I think it's important that we get people out to a premier park like we have. We've done tons of enhancements. What I would like, though, is a friendly amendment to the mover, to move the dates from July 17th to September 8th. And the rationale behind that is the Rotary Park, the Rotary Adventure Park, which is going to be a major attraction, isn't ready. And it won't be ready until closer to these dates. So we might as well have people come out and enjoy the park in its fullest rather than a little earlier. And I think we expected it to be done prior to this, you know, when this was written, but the reality is it's not. And someone in administration probably could confirm that if we need.
We'll ask the city manager to speak on it.
Yes.
City manager.
Yes, we're looking to see whether we could amend it to those dates, simply because we would like to have a good trial period. So people will be going out there to see the adventure park and those types of things. So we would like to have that good 2-month trial period. Right now, the adventure park will not be completed before July 17th. So there may be those people not wanting to attend the Little Red for that reason. So we would like a really good trial period. So I think amending it to July 17th to September 8th would be a really good trial period. Because our amenities will be closer to being completed and available for everyone to use. So that would be great.
Go ahead.
If I may, I've no issue with that. The only thought is that we wouldn't want to lose any, if it's July 17 to September 8, we're losing some date, you know, some length in time.
It would still be 8 weeks, so it'd still be 2 months.
So we'd add 6 days in September, but we would lose, how many days is that? We'd lose
It would have been more of a spread, July 3rd to September 2nd. We're still getting our 8 weeks.
a full 8 weeks?
Yes.
No.
We'd lose a few days there. I just would suggest if we, so I have no issue with the
Should add 13 days on both. You should add 13 days to July
Yes.
3rd, because you want to go to the 17th. So actually 14 days. And then you'd add 14 days to September
September.
2nd to
Yes.
make that the 16th. That
that's
gives
what
you
I-
8 weeks.
That's what I'd like to do, just to keep the full time period there. Our weather is often beautiful in September as well, so
Yeah.
people can,
Yeah, and ended on July, same thing. You had 14 days, 16. Yep.
yes.
Okay. Councillor Edwards?
Thank you, Your Mayor Dion. I wanted to make this comment while I was up prior, but I actually would prefer the winter months. When I raised this, having bus service out 6 years ago in council, it was to get out to the ski hill to utilize. And the requests at that time was the youngsters going out to the Kinsman Ski Hill to, you know, snowboard or ski or toboggan, they could do that. So I'm a little concerned about using the summer months, although Little Red is well utilized in the summer. But it'll be interesting to see how the winter would be utilized. That would be interesting to see, because maybe if it's not utilized, we would only offer it in
I
the
agree.
summer, or maybe it's more in the winter. I don't know. We'd have to have
Very
a
good
look at
point.
those times.
So we'll have to monitor that and bring back. Okay, Councillor Zepp, comments?
Yeah, yes, so I completely agree. I would think that we would get good uptake in our winter months because of the, that's a gem, having that snowboarding and skiing, and it's often, that's the demographic you see on that hill, are young people who can't legally drive yet, but that are old enough that could take a bus. So I hope that's in our future. I also would have, I think that's a very good idea to have for winter operation. And then just on the the phrase of subsidizing, I just have to mention, my understanding from the report is that this pilot project is through a grant through the provincial government. So that's the public's money through the province. So I can't really characterize that as subsidizing, because this is a grant program to offer to our community. And if we get the benefits out of it, of healthier people, safer people, then we may reap some dividends in that manner. And I hope that we do well on this trial basis, and I hope that we consider it for winter months. When the grant is over, maybe we as a city will think it is worthwhile to continue it in our winter months as well, on our own dime.
Okay. Councillor Solomon.
Mayor Dion, just a few comments. I will be supporting this trial. I do have a couple of thoughts around equipment as well. I know Councillor Kilmer was talking about the mountain bike festival that was out there yesterday and things like that, as well as when Councillor Edwards was speaking. Just had thoughts around transporting of ski equipment and things like that. So I know in some of the major urban centers, of course, they have bike racks in the front of the buses. I don't remember seeing any on ours. I don't know if somebody could correct me if I'm wrong. However, I think that would be something, if the trial is successful, that would have to be investigated as well. Thank you.
Perfect. Very good point. Okay, I don't see anyone else in the queue.
Yeah, Your Worship.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I did I did second the motion, so I'm not. I'm in favor of, I guess, moving the dates, and I would note that, of course, those are out of our school months, and so our trial could be affected moving into the September months, but supportive nonetheless.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the question is open. Councillor Head?
In favor.
Yes, motion carries. Okay, 12.5. Healing Garden Park installation update. Councillor Kilmer?
Thank you. I'll be pleased to move, considering Councillor Ogrodnik is not here today, that the artist agreement between the city and Mary Longman be amended to include the well-defined timelines for the project, and that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to execute the agreement on behalf of the city.
Thank you. A seconder? Councillor Solomon?
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Okay, I don't see anyone in the queue, so I'll prompt the question. Question's now open. Councillor Head?
In favor.
Motion carries. 11.6, Little Red washrooms. Councillor Edwards.
Thanks, Mayor Dion. I will move that the contract services of supply, construction, installation of a year-round washroom at Little Red Park be awarded to Container Guy Limited in the amount of $125,263.17 plus applicable taxes.
Thank you. Councillor Zepp.
Second.
Thank you. Do you have a comment? No?
Just that it's really exciting, and I have heard members of the public really pleased that when they bring their kids tobogganing to our gem of a park, that we'll be able to use year-round washrooms, and I know the public appreciates the effort. And I also note that the report does foreshadow future, that there are other locations in the park that are likely to come to us in future budgets for year-round washrooms at other locations.
Thank you. Councillor Edwards?
Thanks, Mayor Dion. It's the first time I've ever heard bathrooms as exciting. But certainly much needed out there. Our park needs it, especially in that area of the park. It's
Yes.
going to be a great asset.
Thank you. Councillor Miller?
Yes, it's very exciting, actually. And just for new members of council, how long a process takes. We've been asking since 2010, I believe, for this to happen. So if you have something new, bring her forward now.
Okay, with that last remark, I'll prompt the question. Question is now open. Councillor Head?
Thank you, Your Worship. With thanks to our Parks and Open Space Manager, Tim Yeaman, in favor.
Thank you. Motion carries. Thank you. 12.7, Arena Refrigeration Plant Maintenance Agreement. Councillor Edwards.
Thanks, Mayor Dion. I so move that the area refrigeration plant maintenance agreement between the city and Arctic Refrigeration Incorporated for a term of July 1st, 2023 to June 30, 2024 be approved, and that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to execute the agreement on behalf of the city. I do have some comments after we have the second.
Thank you. Seconder. Councillor Miller.
I'll second Mayor Dion.
Thank you. Councillor Edwards.
Thank you, Mayor Dion. At the Kinsman Arena right now, are there current issues with the refrigeration? I understand they, during lacrosse, it was plus 30 in the arena. So wondering if there's some issues inside there.
This is the ice plant we're talking about.
I understand that. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, Jody turned the ice plant on. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Dion. So with respect to issues with temperature, we don't have air conditioning in the Kinsman Arena. So no, not an issue necessarily with the ice plant. We did have, however, an evacuation very temporarily around a CO2 leak that was then contained and fixed, and we're back to a normal operation.
Right, so I didn't think we had air conditioning in the Kinsman. Do we have fans at all that can be turned on?
The fans are basically at the exterior and bring in air from outside. So if it's hot outside, it doesn't benefit us in that manner. Yeah.
So something we need to consider in the future.
Certainly.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. No more questions. I'll prompt the question. Questions now open. Councillor Head.
In favor.
Thank you. Thank you. Motion carries. 12.8, Sponsorship Agreement, Lakeland Ford Park. Councillor Edwards.
Thanks, Mayor Dion. I so move that Lakeland Ford Park naming rights agreement between the city and Thermal Metals Limited in the amount of $3,000 from the date of signing to December 31st, 2023 be approved, and two, the mayor and city clerk be authorized to execute the agreement on behalf of the city.
Thank you. Councillor Gilmer.
Thank you. I'd second that in a comment, if I may.
Go ahead.
In the report, I think, if my memory, it serves me, since we have been working with various partners in our community, $222,000 has been committed. And just want to make sure that we thank the community to work in such close partnership to allow all of these great facilities to be available to all of us.
Thank you very much. Question is now open. Councillor Head.
In favor.
Thank you. Date care. Vote carries. Thank you. 12.9, first application for tax, for title tax enforcement. Counselor Miller.
Seeing I just paid my taxes today, I'll move the motion. Mayor Dion. That the city proceed with the first application for title for property tax accounts as listed on the attached report.
Thank you. Seconder. Counselor Cody.
I'll second it.
Thank you. I see no one in the queue, so I'll prompt the question. Questions now open. Counselor Head.
In favor, your worship.
Thank you. Motion carries. 12.10, Canada Community Building Fund Infrastructure Investment Plan, Midtown Community Center Project. Councillor Zepp.
That the Canada Community Building Fund Infrastructure Investment Plan under the Canada Community Building Fund in the amount of $185,195 for the Midtown Community Centre Playground and Spray Park replacement be approved, and that the Mayor and City Clerk be authorized to execute the Canada Community Building Fund Infrastructure Investment Plan and any other necessary agreements on behalf of the city.
Thank
Your
you.
worship, if I could.
Go ahead.
Thank you, your worship. I'm going to second this motion, of course, and just a brief comment.
You go ahead.
Thank you again. Really excited to see this, unlike our washrooms, really excited to see this come into our neighborhoods. A lot of good buzz about, this new spray park. And of course, some of the good riddance to our other ones, our old one, I guess. So really excited to see this come into our neighborhood. Happy that this is moving on the rails, and unfortunate that we're not able to get it built this year due to delays of ordering, as our open park space manager had presented in our executive meeting. But really happy to see that this is going forward and a welcome addition to our neighborhood. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Zepp.
I also support this really great project. Just one reminder is that we do have one remaining paddling pool in our city. It's in Hazeldale, and that our parks plan under its plan, the plan was to have that paddling pool at Hazeldale removed last budget year, and we have waited on it. And so I am hopeful that we do continue to remember not to leave that one paddling pool behind, and that we continue to work towards that removal and replacement into a spray pad in our upcoming budget.
Thank you for that. And of course, I support that 100%. To the point, I'm going to ask the department to look into this. What concerns me, if we decide to do it next year, we will not be able to get the equipment. So I think if it's in our plan to do it next year, you should come to council with an early request so that we could put an order in for the equipment so we could get it done. Otherwise, it won't be done until 25 or 26. So that we know now there's a year delay getting equipment, we should be a little more proactive. Did you have anything else to add, Councillor Zepp? Councillor Zepp, nothing else to add?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now open. Councillor Head.
Exciting times. In favor.
Okay, motion carries. 11.12, 2023 base tax amendment for unserviced land. Councillor Cody.
Yes, your worship, I move that the snow management and roadways special tax portions of the 2023 taxes on the properties for a total of $6,305 be abated due to the being unserviced and vacant property, and that the snow management and roadway special tax portions of the 2023 taxes on airport parking properties for a total of $1,338 be abated due to being unserviced and with the development limited to temporary structures.
Thank you. Seconder? Councilor Zepp.
Seconding.
Thank you. And I see no one in the queue. Oop. Councilor Kilmer.
Thank you. I just need some clarification for understanding. These properties are both residential and commercial,
Yes.
is that correct? That these properties unserviced means there are absolutely no connections at all. Okay, thank you very much.
Councilor Edwards.
Thanks, Mayor Dion. So I want some clarity as well. We made a motion to increase taxes on vacant properties. Residential.
Correct.
This is part of that motion, correct? This
No.
totally separate,
Totally separate.
unserviced. Okay, thank you.
Welcome. Questions now open. Councilor Head.
In favor.
Thank you. Motion carries. 1212, first-time home buyer program application.
Your worship?
Yes? Go ahead, Tony.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and move this motion that the first-time home buyer program application submitted by Courtney Savine, I'm not saying, I hope I'm saying that right, be
Yes.
approved for funding up to $5,000.
Thank you, thank you.
It's happened.
Thank you. Seconder, Councilor Kilmer.
Thank you, I'll second that.
So I have a question for the director. Do we have a cap on how many can apply for this program in a year and where we're at if we do have one?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, there's a cap of 5 applications annually for this, and so far this year, we've given out 2 grants.
Oh, so we still got room.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, it's now open. Councilor Head.
In favor.
Thank you. Pass unanimously. Thank you. 12.13, notice of motion, plan to register bikes. I don't know what it is. Councilor Edwards? Don't have to move it, we can send it
No,
back.
I'm not.
Councilor Zepp,
That the report be received as information and filed.
thank you. Seconder? Councilor Kilmer,
I'll second that, but I do have a question.
go ahead.
I just want to make sure that I understand that the receive and file is that this is a letter from the police saying that they are indeed moving forward with the plan to register bikes, the one that we had moved previously. We had discussed this previously and asked for a registration of some type, and the police are moving forward with this. Is that correct? Who am I asking? City manager?
The information we've received is that the Prince Albert Police Service is in the process of implementing the same system being used by the city of Saskatoon for bike owners in the city, and hope to have the module up and running soon.
Thank you very much.
Councilor Edwards?
Thanks, Mayor Dion. I like it that there's a system in place, certainly. I noticed in the report, it talks about online registration, and it doesn't talk about another option. Well, there's many, many people that don't have options to go online and register a bike, or it's complicated to do that. And we talked about maybe setting up different areas in the city for people to actually bring their bike and register. I don't see the police doing that,
No.
and that's a big concern. So how do we rectify that problem if we move this motion today?
I don't know. I was going to suggest we send it back to the police commission with that question because it's the police department administration that brought it forward.
Okay, then I won't be supporting this receive and file business. We need a better plan.
Okay. Councillor Zepp?
Something that I would like our body here to consider is that we could pass a bylaw that requires any business that sells bicycles in our city limits to then record the registration upon sale of the bicycle. And then that is provided to police, and that would, in the long term, have I think, a great impact on bicycle registrations.
Yeah. But I also support the idea of going out because I remember when things were a little soft, I'll use the word, in the West Flat, we set up down in the West Flat, the Mace Giant, and we solved that problem. And I'd like to see us do that on one Saturday, have a little event there. Kids, bring your bike and we'll be set up and help you register. Because in some cases, mom and dad will not do that and the kids will want to do it. So I really do support the idea of Councillor Edwards and Councillor Miller that we do go to different areas to help register the bikes. So I too will not be supporting the motion and be relaying our comments back to the police commission if it fails. Okay, Councillor Kilmer, were you done? Okay, can you show you?
I would like to suggest to the mover that we make a change to this motion and that we request that we do send a letter to the police commission asking that they provide us with process that they intend to follow and a date they intend to implement.
Well, that's a good idea instead of receiving a file and ask for more information.
Refer it back with instructions. Thank you.
Oh, so I'll go to Councillor Miller first in case she has a suggestion to the mover as well, if you don't mind. Councillor Miller.
Thank you, Mayor Dion. I also think that maybe we should be engaging our community clubs and centers for this situation. That's what they're there for.
Yeah, that's a very good idea, to get as many registered as we can. Okay? Oh, sorry. Sorry, Councillor Zapp.
I'm happy to amend the motion that this item be referred back to PA Police Service.
For more information.
Sure. I think I would want a little more specific, for more information regarding
Implementation
implementation and dates.
and dates, and are they going to set up in community areas? Or is that part of the information? Yep,
Yes.
yep, that's good. Okay? Everybody understand the new motion? Okay, I'm going to, go ahead, Councillor Ed.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a quick comment. Yes, I'm happy that the motion, so thank you to the mover and the seconder to refer this back. I think, we do need to address this and simply receiving filed information isn't the proper way. I'm looking forward to what that report and maybe the direction of how we're going to kind of curtail some of these thefts and or missing bikes in the community. I hear a lot from residents, often about their property being taken and or how can we address some of these things. So I think this is a great move and I'm looking forward to seeing that report. So thank you for that.
Thank you very much. Okay, I'm going to prompt the question. Question is now open. Councillor Head.
In favor.
Thank you. Okay. 12.14, tax title lands. 1 Adenac Gate. Counselor Zepp,
That the tax title land located at 1 Adenac Gate be offered for public tender, and that upon completion of the public notice and tender process, administration forward a report to City Council for consideration with a recommendation regarding the results of the tender process and next steps.
thank you. Seconder? Counselor Solomon?
I'll second that motion.
Thank you very much. I don't see anyone in the queue, so I will prompt the question. Question's now open. Counselor Head?
Thank you, Your Worship. In favor.
Thank you. Motion carries. $12.15, 2022 Municipal Heritage Award. Councilor Miller.
Thank you, Mayor Dion. That the 2022 City of Prince Albert Municipal Heritage Award be given to the King's Court Bench, sorry about that, located at 1800 Central Avenue under the category of rehabilitation. And they
Yep.
have really nice windows over there.
Seconder. Councilor Zepp.
Second.
If we had the federal government's money, we'd have lots of nice windows too. Okay, the question is now open. Councilor Head?
In favor.
Thank you. Motion carries. 12.16, Signature Development Phase 5 Subdivision. Councilor Cody.
Yes, Your Worship, I move that the proposed subdivision of subject lands legally described as Block C, Plan 102375446, be approved, subject to the review and approval of the final plan of survey by administration and completion of an internal review of the application, and that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to execute the plan of survey and any other applicable documents on behalf of the city.
Councilor Kilmer.
Thank you. I'll second that.
Thank you. I see no one in the queue. Councilor Edwards.
Just to be clear for the public, where is this subdivision? I know it talks about Block C, plan, all that. Where is it?
On the yard site.
Where? South, east, west, north?
It's right by the arena, but we'll ask. Acting Director.
Thank you, Councillor Edwards. Yes, this is south of, I guess, the current project for the PA Event Center or Arena Twin Pad Center. And it's, it includes the retention pond as well. So it's just south.
So this is just, this isn't, this is just around the retention pond, right? They're splitting to one major block into a couple, correct?
Yeah, well, they're taking the retention pond out of the one block.
Yeah, okay. And the plan is around this retention pond or lake
RV park,
is to have an RV park.
yes.
Okay, well, more exciting than bathrooms is having an RV park in our city.
They
for
come
people
with
to come and
bathrooms.
Visit and enjoy the arenas that are hopefully open year-round, at least one, and come in and take figure skating in the summer where other people are going to Saskatoon or wherever they can. They'll be able to enjoy our city with this new facility. So
Yes.
thank you very much.
Yep. Okay, I'm prompting the question. Question's now open. Counselor Head?
Thank you, Your Worship. In favor.
Thank you. Passed. Thank you. 1217, a bequeath. Counselor Zepp?
That a fire station reserve fund be established to fund future fire stations. That the bequeathal of $100,000 from Dr. Andre Marias's estate to the Prince Albert Fire Department be allocated to the Fire Station Reserve Fund to assist with funding future fire stations, and that the Financial Services Department invest the $100,000 into a guaranteed investment certificate.
Thank you. Seconder? Counselor Edwards?
I'll second that, Your Worship.
Thank you. Any discussion? Go ahead, Counselor Zepp.
Just that this is a very special bequeathal from Dr. Andre, and that for our city to benefit from it is just so thoughtful and so kind, and that this individual thought of us and our fire department. It just is a big pat on the back for our fire department. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Counselor Edwards, you have your light on. Do you have a comment? Nope. Thank you. Questions now open. Counselor Head?
Thank you, Your Worship. In favor.
Motion carries. Thank you. 11.18, SaskTel Mobility Contract Extension.
I'll go ahead and move this one if no one else has their light on.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm going to go ahead and move that the wireless contract between the city and SaskTel be extended for a 3-year term, and 2, that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to execute the extension document on behalf of the city once prepared.
Thank you. Seconder?
Second.
Thank you. I see no one in the queue. So I'll prompt the question. Question's now open. Counselor Head?
In favor.
Motion carries. (12.19) Ward 8 Councillor by-election official results. Can I please get someone to move this? Councillor Cody.
With pleasure, I move that the report be received as information and filed, and say congratulations to Councillor Solomon. We look forward to working with you.
Thank you. Councillor Kilmer.
Thank you. I'm very happy to second that.
Thank you very much, and I'll prompt the question. Okay. Okay. The question's now open. Councillor Ed.
In favor.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Okay, that's the end of the reports. We'll move to unfinished business, and I'll have to pass the chair, and I'll watch you, Councillor Edwards, you're the Deputy Mayor, as it's my motion that's up next. So I'll arm you. Yep.
Thank you, Mayor Dion. You have a motion?
Yes, that the city of Prince Albert work towards net zero emission by 2030 through actions such as tree planting or employment technologies that can capture carbon before it is released into the air.
Okay, do we have a seconder? Councillor Miller?
Thank you.
Oh, she got an armor.
Okay, I'll remember in the future. Can I speak on the item?
You may now speak on the item, yes.
Okay, thank you. I bring this plan forward because I think it's time with all the construction and everything else that's happening in our city, that we have an opportunity to work towards, and you notice the motion says towards the net zero. And so I sort of have a four-pillar plan. One is, of course, strategically, our strategy, what we're going to do. Number two, measurement. We have to measure where we are today with carbon. Number three is our goal to get there, and that's through policies, programs, and projects. So we'll be looking at all those. And then number four, the implementation of the plan. So if this is passed, I'm going to work with a couple of groups to bring a final, better report to council to explain what our policies and our programs and our projects is go moving forward to get us to net zero. And the reason that moving it at this time, I think it's time we're moving forward. And I've been through a few seminars on the subject, and we've done great leaps and bounds just by moving almost all our city that we have involved to us with LED lighting. You know, we looked at our ring plan, we put as much green in it as we could. And so I think the goal is to continue with that and to join with the world on trying to slow down climate change, as we all know it's affecting us. And I believe that Prince Albert has always been a leader when it comes to moving contentious items forward. And so I think it's time that we move forward with a goal and a target to see if we can hit net zero by 2030. Thank you.
Okay, do we have discussion? Counselor Cody?
No, Councillor Zepp first, then
Counselor
Councillor.
Lanik Zepp, I'm sorry I didn't see the light.
And sorry, then Councillor Cody, then Councillor Kilmer.
Thank you.
Thank you. I support this motion. I certainly think that the spirit is there, that we need to be cognizant and thinking about these things. I just would note that the Saskatchewan Environmental Society did provide us some feedback. They congratulate us on looking into this. They did have some comments that I thought were useful that we could use and in going forward. It's the second page, second paragraph. And they're talking about the specifics of tree planting or employing technologies that can capture carbon before it is released into the air. The Saskatchewan Environmental Society would like to suggest caution to the city in this regard.
Yep.
While it is true there are numerous benefits to planting trees, and many of us like planting trees, governments need to be careful about targets based on net accounting that may undermine mitigation action. And they suggest these three items. The primary focus should be on one, reducing emissions via energy efficiency. We do some of that with our LED, switching over to LED lighting. So that's an example of something that we have been doing and could perhaps improve on. Next, they mention eliminating waste, and we have spoken in this chamber before about composting, and that other cities are offering a compost program. It cuts back on needing new landfill cells and having to pay those millions of dollars for new landfill cells. So that I'm just thinking of examples to match what they're suggesting for us. That's one example is a lot of our landfill is filled with items that could be composted and not needing that landfill area. And lastly, fuel, switching away from carbon intensive fossil fuels. And we did in the last budget pass a Zamboni that is an electric Zamboni, our first, three, that's right, 3 electric Zambonis. So that's an example meeting that criteria that we could perhaps look into as we buy fleet items into the future if we want to match up, because the Saskatchewan Environmental Society, you know, when you look at these names here on the document, they're people who do this for a living, and they know what we could be working towards. So I wholeheartedly support the motion, and I hope that we maybe we'll hear more from the Saskatchewan Environmental Society. Maybe we'll ask them for their advice on what we could improve on, but hoping that we can follow that those suggestions.
Good idea, and actually I've reached out to them to have a meeting. Because in my research, I didn't know they existed, sorry. But, you know, you find out, and it's worth meeting with, because like you said, you look at the professionals that are on that list, they could probably help us quite a bit.
Oh, I'll take care of this, Mayor Dion, no problem. Counselor Cody. You can arm him now.
Yes, I certainly agree with the motion, but I don't totally agree with all of the things that the Environmental Society say.
No.
They talk about not planting trees or being more cautious in planting trees. I wouldn't be very cautious in planting trees because we haven't been very good at it. And I think we need to be far more diligent at planting trees than we have been. Because let's face the facts. We have a mass forest. And you can find out exactly what's happening today in Alberta, right here in Saskatchewan and in Nova Scotia. The good Lord will take the forest if we don't take it. And we should be taking it, and we should replant trees in its place. That's our job. That's the job of us people. We should look after our forests, but we're not looking after our forests. We don't replant when we should. Every time we take a tree, we should be legislated to put 2 or 3 new trees in. That does have a carbon capture. There's no question about it. To be a little cautious is okay, but I don't think to be too cautious. Secondly, I'm not quite as vociferous with regards to the emissions as they are. You know, I always talk to people about the fact that, you know, you fly to the moon, we can fly to Mars, but we can't clean coal to make energy. There's something wrong up here, or with the scientific world. There's something wrong here. Because after all, I think somebody just had the idea that I don't like coal, or I don't like its producers, resulting in the fact that I'm just going to be against coal, and that's it. But coal is a great employer of people. And certainly we want to keep our people employed. So why not scrub the coal a bit better than we do? Second point I'd make is if you look at British Columbia right today and the amount of pellets they're making for a European company to replace coal, fantastic. But you know, these same environmentalists have said, now hold just a minute, that's also not as good as we'd like it. Well, I don't know what they'd want, because after all, let's face it, I'd rather have pellets being made, people being working, making them, and using them to make energy, rather than having the smoke go up like it is today. Pretty smoky out there. Not as good as I'd like it. Shouldn't happen. But that's the kind of thing I think we need to look at. I'm very much in favor of your motion. I think the motion's great. I think we need to look at all of these things, but care must be taken.
Yes.
We still have to have an energy sector. We need an energy sector, and the energy sector employs people, and it's people that keep us going, and it's people that keep our business community going, and I'd like to see it flourish versus totally be taken away from us if some people had their way. So, good motion. I'll be supporting it.
Well said, Councillor Cody. Councillor Kilmer.
Deputy Mayor, if I could, put me on the list.
Absolutely, thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the motion. I like the work towards, and I would like us to, I do like the 4 pillars that you talked about, and the first one being the most important one, which is the strategic plan. I would like the idea to just slow a little bit, wait for the strategic plan,
Yes.
our next strategic plan, so that the team of people can put that into place, have the real deliverables in there, the measurables, so that we do succeed and that we do our very best to be part of the solution. So I will support it, but I'm hoping that we move in a strategic method.
Thank you. Councillor Head.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Yeah, I'm here. Thank you. A couple things. Yeah, I the wording of the motion is a little off. I get the intention is, working towards, but it does say net zero emissions by 2030. So I'm happy you kind of clarified, taking those steps. And I agree. I'm all for this motion. And, it's going to take all levels of government to participate in order for us to make this change for the generations to come. So I'm glad we're at least talking about it and looking at ways how we can implement it. I'm realistic, though. I realize, going through the budget process, that infrastructure, making that transition into these different types of vehicles and operations is costly to the taxpayers, of course. And so, being mindful of those changes and the impacts they will have ultimately will, benefit us in the future. So But it is going to take a lot of work, and I'm happy that you did talk about some of the 4 pillars, and even that report from the Environmental Society has mentioned that we should be doing an audit and or a report on, where we currently are and kind of the steps needed to go forward from that as well. But I suspect that through the budget process, if this passes, we'll see more and more options to consider when we're looking at new vehicles and other kind of processes that we have within the city. So thank you for the motion, and I'll be supporting it.
Thank you.
Any further discussions? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. And the vote is now open. Counselor Head?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. In favor.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank
Pass
you.
unanimously.
And it passes unanimously. Thank you. I'll pass the chair back to the mayor.
Thank you very much. Okay, number 14, Mayors and Councilors Forum. Councilor Kilmer.
Thank you very much. There's 2 things that I really would like to acknowledge that happened this past month, and this one is really from Councillor Ogrodnik. I was fortunate to be at the unveiling of the George Sutherland Park and Monument with many of his 13 children, many of his 36 grandchildren, and 39 great-grandchildren, and not to mention many residents around the park. Councillor Ogrodnik and the community services people did amazing work to bring this to fruition. The families, Councillor Ogrodnik, as we all know, speaks very well and does due diligence about historical references, and he researched and spoke about what George Sutherland had done, and many of the family members came up to compliment him and say his dad was in a special operations for sure. He was trained, but he was also told not to speak of it, and so he hasn't. So it was the first that they heard of a lot of the things that their father and grandfather and great-grandfather did that allowed all of us to be here today and enjoy the freedoms that we do have, including the freedom to be delighted by having a bathroom out at the Little Red. So with that was a very well done event. The park looks spectacular, and the name plaques are just beautiful. So that's the one thing. And then yesterday, I was not there as a council member, but I was there as a volunteer. But I got to experience my very first Pine Needle Bike and Music Festival. I volunteered there counting the bikes as they went by. There were people that did single rides for the whole 6 hours, double team and 4s. And it was amazing. 21, the record for yesterday was 21 rounds for a single rider of the 6K unit. So all of you that would like to, wow. I can point out the 6K unit, and I'll count you as you go by if you would like. But it was absolutely fantastic to see our Little Red Park being used by families in such a way that it was meant to. So again, community services, it's astounding what we have there, and it is more than a gem. It is who we are, which is family. They also had MNP, Myers, Norris, Penny, also sponsored a really neat event where there were about 45 kids. There was a 5 and under group, a 5 to 9, and a 9 and over group that they ran a 1K wilderness run with face paint. So it was absolutely fabulous. Just to let you know, there were over 100 riders, and the furthest that came to our park, because they love our park, was from Washington State. So people do know about Prince Albert, and they do know that we have a gem. So thank you very much to Mike Horn and Fresh Air Experience for everything that they do to host the 10th annual, and next year will be the 11th. So get on your bikes and see you all there.
Councillor Zepp.
Thank you. The splash pads are all open and being well utilized, as well as the Kinsman Water Park. I've had opportunity to enjoy all of them with many children. And I just wanted to say it's just so nice when those open up. And I get calls, I bet other people get calls saying, when are the splash pads going to open? When does the water park open? Kids are hot, they want to go and use them. And it's just really, it's appreciated in our city. As well, I was going to mention just usage of Little Red River Park. You know, we've been out there and just, there are lots of people really enjoying what we have here. As well as many parks in our city, especially I'll mention the Kinsman Park, just really utilized and really appreciated, as are all our parks. I was happy to be able to attend PA Pride Parade this year, and I believe Councillor Kilmer was also there, and just very positive, lots of people feeling included in our city, and there were many years ago where that wasn't the case, and so I'm so glad that we get to have a PA Pride Parade and that people can feel comfortable being who they are in our city, and that's very beautiful. Also, it was a great event. They had Pride in the Park after at Kinsman Park, and it was very beautiful, well done. They had music and entertainment on stage, very family friendly, kids everywhere, really enjoying it. And wanted to mention that Downtown Street Fair is this Saturday. Here in our downtown, and it's a big event, and it's being well publicized, and so I'll be there, and I hope that many others will get to take it in as well. And I want to say that I got to enjoy the opportunity at FCM, Federation of Canadian Municipalities, and learned a lot at our annual conference, and hoping to bring some of that learning back to this chamber.
Thank you. Councillor Miller.
Thank you, Mayor Dion. I was at an event, not as a city councillor, but as a grandmother, at the Stewart Arena this weekend. The Prince Albert Ball Hockey Association was doing their finals, and all the little children from 3 to 7 years old got each medal and the big Stanley Cup, and they got to go through a dark place, which some little 3-year-olds did not like, including mine. So yeah, it was a lot of fun, and the kids had a great time.
Thank you. Councillor Edwards.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just want to touch base a little bit on some comments that I made earlier in regards to the shopping carts, and then some comments further about homelessness being a tragedy. And it is, and I want to make sure people understand that I understand it's a tragedy, and I care immensely about that. Homelessness fueled by addictions and mental health issues is a reality, and it's very unfortunate. What I'm struggling with, though, Your Worship, is when people don't want the help. Because we have housing available. There is housing available in this community and other communities, but when they are offered houses and they say, I don't want it, what are we doing about that? Does it just become okay? Here you go, put a tent on our riverbank and it's okay because you've chosen to use substances, lethal substances, which doesn't allow your brain, unfortunately, to make the right decisions. You know, when's the right time to help people? Because right now, I see it as, it's okay. It's okay to sit and harm yourself and kill yourself in front of people. That's what's happening. But when did this become okay? If we see a sick dog on the corner, we bring that dog for help and care. Isn't that what we do in today's society? Because that's what I see people. I see it on Facebook. I see it on social media all the time. Sick dog, let's get it help. Well, we have sick people in our community and across society today, and we're just letting it be. And you know, I got pointed out that it is a tragedy. This consumes my life thinking about how we can rectify this issue. It consumes many of our lives because right now I know that the city administration deal with it on a regular basis. Our employees are dealing with it on a regular basis. I've been asked, well, what the heck is the city doing about homelessness and addictions? Lots. We do lots. The employees do lots. Administration are meeting consistently with different agencies. And guess what? So are city councilors on a regular basis meeting with different levels of government, with different organizations trying to rectify this issue. It's a concern, and it's a concern that's being taken serious. And the citizens of Prince Albert are concerned. Yes, they care about people, but they also care about going down to the riverbank and with their family and enjoying their time. Are people able to do that when there's tent cities set up there and aggressive, intoxicated people coming towards people, asking them for money, or just simply yelling at them? It's a real concern. And I do care. And all of us care. And it's important to make sure people know that the city is working on some solutions. We did hire Dr. Chad Nilsson to prepare a report and bring forward some potential strategies. We did that in partnership with other organizations. There's a plan, there's a meeting coming up soon to talk about what kind of plan can we do with discarded needles. Well, there's a major problem happening with discarded needles. Organizations are passing them out, and it's okay just to throw them away. Just okay, here, we're gonna give you as many needles as you want, but there's no plan in place on how we're going to clean them up. Well, that's wrong. What are we doing? Well, there is an action plan coming forward. It's going to take some intense conversations, but it's going to occur. Stakeholders are involved. And it's important to point that out. Doctors are phoning. I've had calls from doctors saying, what are we going to do with the issue? Well, it's a huge problem. And I know that, again, the city, many stakeholders are working towards solutions, but it's a tough problem. I have several questions that residents want to know. I think I'll ask them in the inquiries because I do expect some answers tonight with regards to what we do. So I'll leave it at that, but I do want, my main point in standing up was when I talked about the shopping carts being stolen and out there, it kind of got pointed out that maybe I didn't care, but I do care and we all care. Thank you.
Councillor Zapp.
Something that we heard at our Federation of Canadian Municipalities conference was about housing, and there was some good sessions on that. One topic that kept coming up in that is called the Housing First model, and just one sentence about that. This is a Saskatoon program. Journey Home is based on the international Housing First model, which moves people from homelessness directly into housing without any barriers. And we do have great housing programs in our city. They have different levels of barriers. There are different requirements for different types of housing. And Housing First model is different. That's housing without any requirements or of any kind. And that's different. That is internationally recognized, and that is something that we can talk about here in these chambers. And that is something that we should probably be bringing to our provincial government, saying, where's the funding? Here's the need, where's the funding? In terms of needles, I want to mention that we did at one point, was it 1 year ago or 2 summers ago, we had public bathrooms set up near the viaduct on 15th Street. And those public bathrooms were funded through, not through the city as far as I know, but I think that was through some funds from Riverbank. Am I getting that
Yeah,
right?
through COVID, final COVID.
COVID funding through Riverbank. And what I was advised, I think by the mayor, correct me if I'm wrong, was that those public bathrooms, you know, we had them for some time, they were utilized, and that at some point that there were so many discarded needles at the, in the bathroom porta potties, that the bathrooms were taken down. And I just have to point out that, to me, the first thought I had was, those are discarded needles that aren't in our parks, that aren't on our streets, that people use those public bathrooms and also needed a receptacle for the reality of the needle usage that we hear about here. And what a positive that these needles are being placed in a one central location instead of discarded throughout our city, which is, it can be a safety hazard. So something to look to in the future is, do we need public bathrooms? Do public bathrooms throughout our city improve health and safety for everyone, including people that don't have their own private bathrooms? And then do we need to consider needle receptacles at that location, because it seemed to be happening at that occasion.
Okay, thank you. Oh, Councillor Edwards, did you have something again to add?
Thank you, Mayor Dion. I do know that many of us attended FCM, and we all listened to issues ongoing throughout Canada and all municipalities. And one major topic that I went to, several of us probably did, it was about transportation and how that's actually contributing to homelessness in cities. Because transportation across Canada, Greyhound disappeared, STC disappeared, where people had the ability to go places more freely. And it's something that we may have to take a hold of. It's something that we may have to look at and see if the city can maybe subsidize transportation home. Because right now, people aren't able to get home where they actually want to be. They're hitchhiking, they're unsafe because they're on the highways, and it's a sad state where people can't find transportation home that's safe. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Kilmer, Mayor's Forum.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify that I do think, and someone can correct me if I am wrong, but I do think we do have a Housing First program here in Prince Albert, and we do have a unit that does follow that model, and I think we were one of the first in Canada to have that actually in place. So I just wanted to make sure people knew.
Yeah, we do. Okay, I have 3 items to talk about. I'm going to talk about Sunday. Yesterday, Declaration Day. We had a great event in Memorial Square. We unveiled 6 new monuments. I was trying to count them, 4 new benches. And we had a great parade with the Legion and the Anavets and the Army. And one thing that came out from the commanders that attended, we had a colonel and a general, is the comments they gave us about what we did with the vets in the parks. They just thought that was incredible. You know, that most cities talk about lifting up the vets, but they give us credit for actually doing it. And so they were very excited about that, and it was a great event. Now, then from there, you go, this is the mayor. So when you leave that event, then I went to the exhibition grounds to the 4-H show and sale and watched all the young kids show off their cattle and their calves and their cows. And actually today was the last day, 3 o'clock today was the sale. But, so if you went to our exhibition grounds yesterday, we had that going. We had the ball hockey event. We had a big fundraiser going on at the main hall. It was just a buzz to see our community going in so many different directions, and you know, it was a very positive thing. Sherry and myself just returned from Melville. We went to the Mayor's Caucus meeting, and one thing that came out of the Mayor's Caucus meeting is we are united on the homeless front. And one thing that we are now going to target, and I'm going to get everyone a copy of it, is the auditor's report. The auditor clearly pointed out that the government has failed in the SIS program. And the other thing that shocked me is how many calls they're not returning for people with help. That was the other thing that shocked me. It was bad enough that they messed up the SIS program with the landlords, but then to find out that they're not getting callbacks. That worries me because people reach out for help, that's the call, and we should be answering that. So that was a strong message that came out, and so we're actually going to use that report, all of us, to our advantage. Because there now you have a provincial auditor that's telling you that program failed. You know, and hopefully we can get them to reverse it and change it and make things better. But it's been a great week in our city. We've had great events. In case anyone hasn't noticed, graduations, my most exciting time of the year. Graduations is underway, and I've watched quite a few of the young people get awards, and what I like about it is, boy, when you see our young men and women, and that's who they are when they graduate, dressed up, it's impressive how good some of our people are looking in our community, and it makes our community proud, you know. So be out there congratulating the grads, because this is the grads month, so thank you for that. I'll move on. I see no one else in the queue for inquiries. Oh, we got one. Councillor Miller.
Thank you, Mayor Dion. As councillors have mentioned, that the spray parks are all open and ready to go. I'm thinking that Parkland Hall needs a little hand again this year. So if somebody from Community Services can get a hold of someone from PAGC to see if that's so, that would be great. Thank you.
Very good point, and that should be on the regular list because it's hard to start up. Councillor Edwards.
Thanks, Mayor Dion. I have several questions, inquiries, sorry.
There, you have a time limit of 8 o'clock.
Most of them are yes or no.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, and most of them come from several people asking the same question. And this is mostly to the city solicitor, is public intoxication still against the law?
Go ahead.
Thank you for the question. Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you. Is it legal to use illicit drugs on the streets in our city?
No, it is not.
Okay. Is trespassing still a law?
Trespass is a private determination, and if there's not consent on private property for an individual or a group of individuals to be on their property, that is, and those people contravene that without consent, enter onto that property, that is actionable, and it is contrary to law. Yes.
Okay, so right now we have several people on private property that won't leave. Businesses, especially in our city. I'm talking about our city now. I understand there's issues all across Canada, but I'm talking about Prince Albert. So what are businesses able to do? What should they do? Businesses are reaching out. What should they do with people that are hanging around their private property in front of their business?
Call the police.
Okay. What are the police to do with the people? Fill the cells?
Well, that's their call. They have to use their discretion. If it's just to move the people along and the people move along, there's no issue. But it could be an intoxication issue, drug issue. There's quite a few issues that could come about. That's why you call the police, because it's not safe to approach them.
Okay, so often we see 10 or 12 people in front of a business. Where are they to take them? How many cells do our police have? How many cells are available by PA Police Service? How many do we have?
I don't know. Maybe ask that at the police commission meeting. I
Okay,
don't know.
I'll put that one in writing. Okay, that's good. Is it against the law to panhandle in our community?
Thank you for the question. I believe we do have that, we do have a bylaw that precludes that, yes.
The obstruction bylaw? Okay, so do businesses know? Have we spent any time educating businesses on the obstruction bylaw? Has any department done that, or are we, I mean, I was the leader behind that. Should it be the city councilor educating the businesses on the obstruction bylaw?
All that I deal with know the bylaw, so I don't know what
Well,
you're asking.
I'm not sure many businesses know about the obstruction bylaw. I don't even know, the police, whether all of the police officers are aware of the obstruction bylaw. So I'm just asking because businesses don't know their legal right. They often, unfortunately, they're reaching, and maybe they have to talk to a lawyer. When a tent or a form of structure or a shelter is set up on private property like a business or a home, what should a resident do? Is that a call to bylaw on private property?
Quit shutting your light off.
Sorry, Your Worship. Thank you for the question. I think it depends on the circumstances, but,
Yes.
and whether or not there may be some inherent danger, identified from a particular situation. But I think those calls are probably better referred to the city police.
Yeah, and that's what I understand is people are calling for assistance from bylaw, where bylaw really has not got the power to remove from private property. Am I correct? It's more of a police issue there?
Yes, thank you. That's a question of trespass, and that would be enforced by the city police, yes.
By the city police, okay. Okay, I think I'll leave it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Now you can shut your light off. Councillor Kilmer.
Thank you. I am wondering, in the Crescent Heights area, there is someone putting posters on many of the light standards, and they have been taken down once, but they are back again and more. So I'm just wondering who residents are supposed to call to have those removed.
We'll send that to Public Works. Jeff?
Thank you for the inquiry. Yes, your best bet would be to call into Public Works. We'll put together a service request and have one of our operating divisions attend to it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. No more inquiries? Okay, so I'm going to move on then to number 16, inquiry responses. Councilor Miller.
I'll receive and file.
Thank you. Seconder. Councilor Zapp.
Second.
Thank you. I see no one in the queue. Questions now open. Councilor Head.
Thank you, Your Worship. In favor.
Thank you. Motion carries. Thank you. Number 17, notice of motions. Councilor Zapp.
That city administration prepare a report regarding the feasibility of opening summer recreational services, for example, splash pads, Kinsman Water Park, and Kinsman Park bathrooms, earlier in the season for the 2024 summer.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, I have two, both for Public Works, that in their, for the 24 budget, if Public Works could put in a plan and a report to council on the cost to rebuild Cloverdale Road into a real street and not the sandbar that it is. That's my first motion. My second motion is, can Public Works, starting in '24, come up with a 3-year plan to finish asphalt shavings in both Nordale and Hazeldale? And that's a 3-year plan starting in '24. Those are my two motions. Thank you. Then I'll move on to motions. We have Councillor Edwards' motion, flashing pedestrian lights on 15th Street East and Marcus Road. Councillor Edwards.
Thank you, Mayor Dion. I so move that administration prepare a report on installing flashing pedestrian lights at the intersection of 15th Ave East and Marquis Road and be considered in the 2024 budget.
Thank you. Councillor Miller?
Yeah, I will second that with a little bit of discussion. Can we do that?
Yep. If I go to Councillor Edwards first, do you
Okay,
mind?
yeah.
I'll come back to you. Councillor Edwards?
Thank you, Mayor Dion. I know this is a very busy intersection, and the Rotary Trail is something that we really want people to utilize on a regular basis. And unfortunately, Marquis Road and 15th Ave are very high speed. Cars are going pretty quickly down there. And unfortunately, you know, when pedestrians just step outside or step past, there's a bit of a blind spot. There are blind spots right on that corner.
Yes.
So I think, you know, in having administration prepare that report and have some discussions, residents are asking for it, residents that use it that aren't from Ward 6, and certainly residents from Ward 6 utilize it right there a lot. Regardless, it's a community safety issue. It's not an expensive fix. And to slow the traffic when pedestrians are crossing, I think at a busy intersection such as this is a good idea. Thank you.
Councillor Miller?
Yes, I can agree more. Coming around that corner is kind of dangerous for sure, because you cannot see them coming from the west
No.
at all. So I'm thinking probably a flashing beacon one going this way and this way would probably be a really good idea. Just thought.
Okay. And I agree, because the problem that you have when you're on 15th and you're approaching Marcus, you'll stop and you don't see the car coming around there, and then you signal the people to go, and then the car, that's happened to me twice. I told the guy to go and he almost got hit after I told him to go. So I agree with that intersection. Any other comments? Okay, hearing none, I'll prompt the question. Question is now open. Councillor Head?
In favor.
Okay, a motion carries. No, it's still at the budget, so we're not spending it yet. Okay, public forum, we have none. Councillor Kilmer?
I move that this council do now adjourn.
Seconder? Councillor Zepp?
Second.
Okay, I'll prompt the question. Question is now open. Councillor Head?
Thank you, Your Worship. It's been a good meeting. In favor.
Yes, thank you, everyone. It has been a very good meeting and very good debate and discussion, and the meeting is now adjourned.